Hi guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. In this video, we're going to be looking at Evercade Broken Sword Collection. Is it good value for money? We're going to discuss some of the different community reactions to this announcement, and we'll also have some more gameplay, and we'll do some price comparisons for the different versions of this game. Is it good value for money? Let's find out. So Broken Sword Collection is coming to Evercade. That'll include the original PlayStation games, PlayStation 1 games, Broken Sword and Broken Sword 2. Both are fantastic games in my view. I absolutely loved them. Really enjoyed playing them back in the day. I remember playing the demo to death from the official PlayStation magazine, and that was my first experience of this game, and then bought the full game when it came out. I thought they were excellent games. I've played them numerous times over different formats over the years as well, and also played the various sequels that are available. And now I'm delighted that they're coming to Evercade. I think they are fantastic point and click sort of examples. There's plenty of different point and click games out there, but these are two of the best examples I think you'll find. There are plenty of other games that are decent as well, but these are very high quality examples of this genre. Great voice acting, great graphics, and great little puzzles, and a lot of humour besides that definitely make me laugh. And it's my type of humour, quite childish and pathetic, but yeah, it did make me laugh nonetheless. The first thing I wanted to touch on is the community reaction to this. I think the first one I'll probably talk about is the Spanish community. They're obviously a little bit unhappy because there's not going to be a Spanish language version of this game. It's only going to be English only. They have reached out to Blaze in the Discord channel, and they said they will have a look at it and see if it's something they can actually do. Whether they do that or not, I'm not entirely sure, but at present it's only going to be the English version of the game that we're going to get. I think it's just far too much work for them to actually include two different versions of the game, which would mean two lots of work, loads more testing, double the amount of testing. So it might not make sense to have two different versions of this game on the go, and they can't just put everything onto the one sort of cart because the size just is too large to put on the one collection. So they would have to make separate versions for this, which I really don't think they're going to do. They might look at it. I think they're contemplating doing something, but I don't think it's going to happen. So having watched a lot of sort of reaction videos as well to this, it's been quite surprising that there's a lot of people out there that were not aware of these games, specifically outside of Europe anyway. And I was quite surprised by that, quite taken aback that a lot of people were not aware of these games. I thought these games were massive. Maybe I'm just living in a little bubble, I guess, but I absolutely loved the games. But outside of maybe the UK and Europe specifically, a lot of people were not aware of these games at all, maybe even slightly, but never even played them. I guess if you're in that sort of bucket, then that might actually be a good thing, especially if you like point and click adventure games. Then you are in for a treat, because these are the best examples that you can probably buy in point and click adventures. They are excellent games. Although obviously you don't like point and click games, you're not going to get much out of this at all. But please don't dismiss it based on anything. They are fantastic games. They really are great games. Very immersive, great voice acting, great graphics, great little puzzles that will probably stump you for hours. And there's a lot of gameplay to be had from these two games. I guess if you've never played them before, it could easily take you 10 hours or more to actually finish the games. If you played them before, it might be a little bit less because you'll obviously know what you're actually doing. But please don't dismiss the fact that if you've never heard of them, doesn't mean they're not good games. Take it from me, they are fantastic games. Definitely worth playing. Not necessarily the Evercade versions. Are they good value for money? I will cover that later on in the video. Now I want to cover something else as well. You don't need a mouse to play these games. These games were designed on the PlayStation 1 to be played with a D-pad. We didn't have a mouse at that particular point, although I believe there was a PlayStation mouse what you could actually use, but you don't need a mouse to play these games. They are absolutely fine. They were designed to be played with a D-pad, so that should translate really well to the Evercade. So please don't think you need a mouse. We don't really need a mouse on Evercade and keyboard combo. Although the Delphine point and click games would definitely benefit from that. I don't think they translated that great onto a D-pad. But just to let you know, if you didn't like those games, fear not. I believe these games are far better, much more playable, easier to get into, and very, very immersive. I think these games are absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait to play them again. I have played them quite a lot over the years, even recently, and obviously got the most recent Reforged version on Steam. But I think they're fantastic, and I, for one, am delighted that Blaze have signed a deal and got them coming to Evercade. Classics from their day. Can't wait to play them again.
The sergeant was a scrawny man in his 50s who resembled a constipated chicken. Excuse me, Sergeant.
You are the inspector? Go on, monsieur.
I was one of the last people to see the victim alive, Sergeant.
Does that worry you?
Yes, it does. I feel I owe it to him to find his killer.
That is best left to the authorities, monsieur. Did he speak to you? Tell you anything?
No, he just grinned and nodded.
Don't let it trouble you, monsieur. Go home and try to forget.
Hi, my name's George Stobart.
Oh, an American by the sound of it.
Yeah, that's right, on holiday in Paris. Some holiday, huh?
You were here when the bomb went off?
Sure was. Sat right out front of the cafe.
Did you notice a middle-aged man, maybe 60, with an hat and overcoat?
I couldn't believe it. She hadn't even asked how I was feeling. Yeah, he went inside just before the bomb exploded. You weren't related to him, were you?
Oh no, nothing like that. I am Nicole Collard from La Liberté.
What's that, some kind of nightclub?
No, it is a newspaper.
You're a reporter?
I'm a freelance photojournalist.
Say, you can interview me about the bombing. You know, an eyewitness account. Minutes after the outrage that shook the whole of Paris. You know, real-life drama, human interest, that kind of stuff.
I'll just stick to the facts, thank you. Did you see who planted the bomb?
I know it sounds crazy, but he was dressed like a clown.
Oh, God, it's him again.
Have you met the clown before?
It's a long story.
I have plenty of time.
I don't.
Who's the guy you were supposed to meet?
His name was Planter. I didn't know him, but he called me last night. He said he had a story which would interest me. He asked me to meet him at the cafe. I guess I'll never know what he wanted to tell me.
Not unless you have Rosso's gift for psychic interrogation. The muscular workman wore a morose expression, like a silent warning to leave him to get on with his job. Hi, can you spare a few minutes?
I thought you'd been arrested.
No, it was a misunderstanding.
When he pulled that gun, gah! I thought that was it. Those automatics pack quite a punch, you know?
He made a mistake. He thought I was a terrorist.
You? A terrorist? Ha!
He was only doing his duty, I guess. Would you like to read my newspaper?
I haven't got time to read that. Can't you see I'm busy?
You could read it on your lunch break.
10 minutes is all I get. And if my boss had his way, I wouldn't get that. He'd have me on a drip, so I didn't have to stop to eat.
Oh, take the newspaper and quit complaining.
Pah! Look at this. Damn bleeding heart liberals. Tcha! Save the dolphins. Catch them and eat them, I say. All that fuss over a bunch of fish. Nah, that's more like it. Look at the size of those. Like champagne bottle corks, no? Ah, what's this? Salah-ed-Din running in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe.
It's a racehorse?
A horse? A legend. Bucephalus reborn, mon ami. Like a streak of lightning she is. Do me a favor, won't you? Keep an eye on my hole. I'm off to put some money on that nag.
The shop window featured a display of gowns and women's stuff. It wasn't the style of the clothes in the shop that caught my eye, but the prices. The same amount of money would feed a starving family for the rest of their lives. I guess people who buy that kind of stuff don't have a problem with their consciences. The woman was doing something with a pair of needles that couldn't be described as knitting. She was a cheery old soul. The kind you'd walk across the street to avoid.
Bonjour, monsieur. Would you like me to foretell your future?
No thanks.
I'm very good, and it only takes a minute.
Thanks all the same, but I'm not superstitious. Besides, if it only takes a minute, that's not much of a future to look forward to.
This must be the place. Professor Oubier's house.
Looks pretty creepy. I'd been away from Paris and hadn't seen Nico for nearly 6 months. I wanted to celebrate our reunion, but she had other plans. An appointment with an archaeologist. Something to do with a Mayan stone she came across while researching the story. The guy who answered the door didn't look much like an archaeologist to me. I had a bad feeling about this. I glanced over the books, vaguely hoping to find a copy of How to Deal with Poisonous Spiders While Tied to a Chair. No such luck. But I noticed one corner of the bookcase was supported by a loose block of wood. The block of wood had been used to replace the original. Maybe I'd been a little heavy-handed, but it was a question of survival. Of course, I was still tied to a chair in a burning house with no means of escape. With one mighty bound, our hero was free. Now, I had to deal with that fire. The front door was made of hard wood, supported by a sturdy frame. The door was locked. I didn't fancy my chances of kicking this door down. It was a folded clipping taken from a newspaper. I'd found a piece of newspaper folded in two. It referred to a forthcoming eclipse of the sun. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be visible from Europe. The best place to view the eclipse would be Mexico. Much as I disliked him, Labano might be my only hope of finding Nico. Hi, Andre?
Who is this?
It's George Stobart, Nico's boyfriend.
Don't you mean ex-boyfriend?
Look, I didn't call you just to pick a fight. I need to talk to you about Nico.
Can't you accept she's just not interested in you?
Listen, Andre, we need to talk. Nico's life depends on it.
Okay. You remember the cafe at Montfaucon?
Sure. Andre? You'd better show, you creep.
I felt an irrational urge to wipe my ear.
So over the years there has been various versions of the games released. There was the remastered versions, director's cuts, there was even a version on iPhone which you could play with touchscreen, which was totally fascinating. I'm pretty sure you can still download and play a game on your phone, Android or Apple or otherwise. I had a quick look and I could only find the second game, but there are different ways to play these games out there. These versions are absolutely fantastic. The director's cut with additional scenes, you can see here this sort of part of the game was not included in the original. It was basically added extras. You can see they added also the pictures of the characters while they were talking, different animations, and there was probably some amendments to some of the sort of text options as well. But yeah, the remastered versions, I guess if you really wanted to play these games, I would probably recommend playing these ones because they look absolutely brilliant. I think though Broken Sword 1 Remastered was delisted from the Steam store because of the reissue of Broken Sword Reforged, which is 25 quid. So we will have a look at the different pricing of the various versions available in a minute. But I just obviously wanted to cover the different versions that are out there. This is the second game with, you can see the added graphics as well, with the talking animations of the little box of the different characters, and you can see the graphics look really, really nice. They've touched them up and they look fantastic. I remember replaying this game a number of years ago when they actually released them. It's probably about maybe 10, 15 years ago, I guess, when they were released. I think there's also been sequels. There's been Broken Sword 3, which was on the PlayStation 2. So if you think we're going to get a second collection, it's not going to happen because the third game was on PlayStation 2, and I think it sort of took the genre a little bit of a different sort of way, because I think you could control the character in a third person mode rather than the traditional point and click. So it was a bit weird. I don't remember playing an awful lot of it. I can't even remember a lot about it, to be honest. But there's also sort of Broken Sword 4, which was called, I think, Angel of Death, which was released on PC only. I have actually got a physical copy of that, which is bizarre, but I've never actually played it. I've also got that on Steam, which I've never played that either, which is weird. I probably really should revisit it. There's also Broken Sword 5, which is, I guess, the most recent release, but that's most recent release sequel-wise was way back about 10 years or so ago, which is fantastic. And also, as we're looking at here, the most recent Reforged version, which you can buy on all modern platforms for 25 quid. Okay guys, as promised, let's have a look at the different prices that I've found out there. For Broken Sword Collection 1, it will be a gigacart on Evercade, which means it's going to retail at the new price of $24.99. So a little bit pricey. So what I've done is try to find prices out there for the various versions that are available. First off, looking at Steam, I could only find the Reforged version, which is actually itself $24.99 just for the one game. They've actually delisted Broken Sword 1, the remastered edition, so you can't get that on Steam. You can buy Broken Sword 2, the remastered version, which is selling for $4.99. So that would give you the total of £29.98. But as you can see, it's a little bit more expensive than buying the Evercade version. However, if you also got a GOG account, which means you can play that on your PC as well, you can buy both remastered versions of Broken Sword 1 and 2 at £4.79, and that comes in at £9.58. So that is probably the best way of playing and buying these games. You would save yourself £15 from the Evercade cartridge version, which is quite a lot of money. But I guess not everyone has a GOG account, not everyone has a PC to be able to play these games. I guess if Evercade is your only way of playing these games, then that is really not going to matter at all. If you've got a Switch, Xbox or PlayStation, you will only be able to play the Reforged version, which is selling for $24.99. Again, it's the same price as on Steam. I'm not really sure. I'm pretty sure I've seen these games, Broken Sword 1 and 2, on modern platforms before, but I could not find them. They're not available at present. So the only way of playing Broken Sword 1 is only the Reforged new version, which is only on its own at $24.99. Now, I had a quick look at physical versions of the original PlayStation 1 games on CEX. For a full manual and box version, you've got £25 for Broken Sword 1, £18 for Broken Sword 2. That would equate to £43. I had a quick look in eBay as well. Some prices a little bit cheaper, some were actually a lot more expensive than what you're seeing there. So overall, the value for the Evercade cart isn't actually too bad at all. I couldn't see these games on the PS Vita store either. It was only Broken Sword 5 that was on there. So I guess the Evercade sort of price in this instance isn't bad. However, if you do have a GOG account and PC, then you're definitely going to save money by buying those versions on there. But I guess like everyone else, if you don't have a PC, you can't play those versions. Therefore, the Evercade version might be your best option. But as I said, there are different options to play these games. If Evercade is your only platform, then this sort of situation is a little bit mute. But I guess the value in this instance is a little bit hit and miss. Overall, not too bad. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Bye for now.
See you later.
That's right, monsieur. You will.